Call to order the meeting of the Ascension Parish Council, June 16th, 2022. And I'd ask Coach to lead us in an invocation and pledge. Please rise.
Let us bow our heads, please. Heavenly Father, as we come at this hour in the evening, we come, Lord, with praise, come with honor, and truly, Lord, to say we thank you for the many blessings you bestowed upon each of us. And Father, right now, Lord, as we bow, I pray a blessing upon each and every person under the sound of my voice. I pray, Lord, for Ascension Parish. I pray, Lord, for the families of the Uvalde kids that's in Texas. I pray that you bless their parents, bless Texas in its whole. We pray, Lord, that you guide, lead, and direct us in a mighty way, Father. And Lord God, we are so thankful and grateful for Ascension Parish. We're thankful for being here tonight. And Lord God, as we leave this place tonight, I ask, Lord, that you bless each of us to get home to our families safe and sound. In your name I pray. Amen.
Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you, Coach. Roll call, Madam Secretary. Councilman Robert, Councilman Orgeron, and Councilman Melanson are absent. Oh, never mind. Councilman Robert and Councilman Orgeron. Chase just showed up. Under Chair's additions, item 3, I'm just going to make an announcement. It became a holiday like this week. Juneteenth, the federal government recognized it, I guess, a few years back, and they sent the requirement to the state level and local level to make it a holiday or not. And the state just declared it a holiday, and I think the administration, Clinton, everybody decided it would be a good idea. So it is actually going to be the 19th of June, which is this Sunday. So keep that in mind if you have any idea of what you might want to do. There are surrounding areas that are going to be having functions, events, and what have you. Donaldsonville had one last Saturday, and I understand it went very well. But keep that in mind, and that's the only thing I have. For the public comment and sign-in period, if there's any agenda item that someone would want to speak on, either in favor of or in opposition to, see the secretary, get a card, fill it out, present it back to her, and we'll call on you when that agenda item comes up. Okay? Item 5, presentations. Certificates of recognition for the Lady Gator Softball 5A State Championship team. Councilman Chase Melanson is going to lead the way and give out the certificates. If y'all would come forward, please. He's going to read your name and present you with your certificate. And then we're going to ask the coach to say a word or two. Yes. State champion.
You got that, Chase? Need a hand?
You need a hand, Chase?
Check.
I'll go help him.
Yeah, somebody.
I'll come help.
Where's Travis? Travis, you want to
No, wait, we share that district, man. I was going to go give you a hand there. I don't want to get across the T, you know. Gold and blue.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's the coach. All right. Let me see, can y'all hear me? Everyone? Hear me okay? Okay, we're going to honor our 2022 5A State Girls Championship softball team, the Santa Monica Gators. Just a brief overview of their accomplishments. They team went 31-2, finished the season on a 29-game win streak. They had 13 players selected to all district 5A. They had the coach of the year. They also had the player of the year. They had 4 more players selected to all state with the player of the year and the coach of the year. And during the playoff runs, they outscored their opponents 53-3. So it was a pretty dominating season for the Lady Gators. Heck of an accomplishment. And they won the state title game against West Monroe by 10-run ruling, and a perfect game, if I remember correctly, by Miss Addison Jackson. So no hits, no runs, no errors, 10-run rule in the title game. So this is about as impressive group of ladies that you'll ever see. And so, if you just want to
hand them to you.
Yeah, hand them to me, and I'll read them out.
Do that.
I'm sorry, these aren't in order, so just as I call your name, if you want to come grab it, and look, and if y'all kind of want to pile up right here, we're going to get a picture with y'all afterwards, okay? All right. Miss Samantha White. gonna save the coach for last. Samantha Landesh. Riley Moran. There you go. Olivia Falcon. Mary Beth Zeller. Mackenzie Ellisor. Yeah, I understand we have some girls traveling for ball. I'm gonna set these right here and we'll give those to Coach. Mackenzie Smith. Mhm. Lauren Allen. Kinley Mish. Sorry if I'm butchering that. She's not here. Miss Cami Gotro. Haley Hydell. Haley Abear. Gracie Bursajay. Gabby Gomez. Emily Terrio. Miss Katarina Byers. Corman Dixon. I think Miss Beth is like in Montana or something. The principal, Miss Beth Tomplay. Ava Vigner. Audrey Dunn. Aubrey, I'm sorry. They didn't do me any favor with this font. It's got like a shadow. Ashlyn Jones. Airly Bean. Amaya Franklin. Miss Allie Godin. And here we have our coaching staff, Alex Franklin. Well, she might not be here.
That's a player.
Huh? Okay.
Sorry. It might be a player too.
Addison Gomez. Addison Jackson. Is she gone?
All right, there we go.
All right, there we go. Mr. Jay Brignac. I know you're not on the softball team. Darrell Landry.
Easy.
Okay.
That's a player.
Caitlin Kingman.
Trainer, she's got.
Trainer.
Oh, I know him.
Mark Mayer. Oh, I'm gonna butcher this. John Benta. There you go, John Bentvania. Close enough. Bentvania. There we go. Mr. Clark. Is Mr. Clark here, Lambert?
Scott Olsen.
I know where to find Mr. Clark. We got Coach Arsenault as well, and of course our head coach, Miss Amy Petrie. Awesome. Hey. Anything you'd like to say? You want to put you on the spot?
To you guys? Yeah. Okay. Well, I mean, we're missing a lot of people, which is unfortunate, but the good thing is most of them are playing ball. And then we're missing one of our assistant coaches who also does an outstanding job. He's actually coaching ball, so everybody's missing for a good reason here. Just want to say how proud I am of these girls. Again, as what wasn't said is how the season kind of started. We were practicing at Butch Gore because our field wasn't ready yet, along with every other team in the parish, which is fantastic now. So for the first 3 weeks, it was a little rough, traveling back and forth to practice, and it wasn't looking all that great. And we lost 2 games early, so we were 4-2, which was like crazy, right? And then all of a sudden, we just went and won the next 29. But what was kind of cool about it was the teams we played in the playoffs, we played them earlier in the year, and they were all close games. We opened up the season with Hahnville, 1-0, 10-inning game. Then we played them in the quarterfinals. It was 11-2, I believe. West Monroe, who we played in the finals, was a 1-0 or 2-1 extra inning game. We beat them 10-0, a perfect game. So when you look at the scores of the same opponents, you see what these girls were able to do every day, how much better they got. You know, it wasn't by luck that those scores were so lopsided. So every honor that they got, they definitely deserved, and just so proud of them. Our 2 seniors, Katarina Byers and Carmen Dixon, I can't say enough about their careers. You know, Carmen started for us in right field, clutch all year. Came up with some big hits in some big games. Katarina Byers came in late from basketball, worked her way into lineup, was batting up in the 2-hole. Late, you know, not many people change their lineups that late, but she earned that spot coming in late from basketball. So great careers. They're leaving Santa Monica with 2 rings, the 2019 championship and the 22 championship. So just super proud of them, and my coaching staff. Outstanding job. And thank you guys for having us.
Absolutely.
Oh, one more thing. Doing all this with a GPA of 3.94.
Tall guy.
Huh? That's all right.
Put my hand on your shoulder.
Open it?
Oh.
Everybody open it. Most people have it. All or nothing. All or nothing.
Later, Jay.
I called to see if you needed a ride today.
Oh, thank you. No, I was, my new puppy got the first room today, so
I just figured you were tired, so maybe
I'm tired.
29-2 and
Started out kind of
didn't even they shut out most of the teams they played in the playoffs.
That's right.
That's a great group there. Whew. That's some serious baseball, softball.
Okay, we're going back into the agenda. Thank you, Chase. What a great honor for those girls. They well represent Ascension Parish. Parish President's report. In the absence of Clint, who is ill, and we hope he gets to feeling better soon, Patrick Goldsmith, please give us the report.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The Parish President Quint Mall sends his regrets for not being here, but he is under the weather, so from all of us at the parish, we hope he does, have a swift recovery. He just wanted to make sure we said a few words on his behalf. Then we're going to do a quick legislative update, and then Brandon's going to give an update on the parish app. But first, he wanted to make sure we talked about how encouraged we are with the revitalization on the West Bank. From the reopening of the Lemon Center by Leadership Ascension and all of their partners, they had a great event this weekend. We had a lot of parish staff there, pressure washing, also there representing. Heard it was a great turnout, so that was a great event. and also to a very successful Juneteenth celebration last weekend that Coach said was very well attended. And now to the dedicated task force by the sheriff to improve the safety on the West Bank. We're just continuing to see great things happening on the West Bank. We're very encouraged and want to thank the leadership of the council members for continued success on the West Bank. Mr. Chairman, you mentioned about Juneteenth, and we just want to remind everybody that the parish offices will be closed tomorrow to honor Juneteenth. And then finally, we want to wish everybody a happy Father's Day. So hope everybody has a great Father's Day on Sunday. And with that, we can go into the legislative session summary. We wanted to give y'all an idea of kind of everything that happened during the session. The session has a lot of moving parts. There are a lot of things that happen, and sometimes it's hard to know all of the successes that we've had as a parish and all of the work that went behind the scenes to make those things happen. And so first, we want to make sure we thank our delegation in Ascension Parish, starting off with Representative Clay Shake-Snyder, who's the Speaker of the House. We're very fortunate that we have the Speaker of the House to counsel with. Representative Tony Bacala, Ken Brass, Kathy Edmonston, and then our Senate members, Senator Eddie Lambert and Ed Price. We met with them often. They were always very open and ready to hear us and try to help anything we needed in Ascension Parish. And so it was a great collaborative effort with the delegation this year to try to achieve a lot of the priorities we wanted to achieve. And we also want to thank Governor John Bell Edwards. He met with us several times. He was, very instrumental in helping us get some of the things we wanted on Highway 30, some of the big items, and we'll talk about those in a minute. Also, DOTT Secretary Sean Wilson. I can't tell you how many times we met with him and how accessible he was and how open he was to listening to us, collaborating with us to try to make sure the state roads in our parish are advanced and that, things improve, because everybody knows the growth we've had. And we also need to thank the legislative chairman, because they really worked with us as well, and also the legislative staff. Sometimes those are the unsung heroes that we're working with behind the scenes to make some of these things happen. So we really appreciate everybody's effort to make things a successful session. The first thing I want to talk about is supplemental appropriation. And so, we talk about capital outlay and we talk about general appropriations. The supplemental is when money is left over at the end of the fiscal year after the revenue estimates come in and they want to spend some of that general fund, they do a supplemental bill. And that's usually by the chairman of appropriation, and that's Jerome Zarang. So House Bill 592 was that bill, and it spends some of that money. And so that's an opportunity for local governments and state agencies to have some priorities met. And we were successful in getting some things for Ascension. And that bill is signed by the governor. And this money has no match. We've had that question a lot. Capital outlay has a match. This money, we enter into a CEA with the Treasurer's Office. We tell them what we want to do. It's a reimbursement program, and it flows very smoothly. So we were fortunate enough, Council on Aging got $1 million. The Sheriff for storm repairs got $500,000. The fire district, similar to what was done this year, they got $400,000 split between fire districts 1, 2, and 3. For parish government, we were able to get Highway 44 and Parker Road roundabout, $600,000. In fact, we've already talked with Jeff Burst about that, so we can try to get this process going because we know that's a priority. And then Ascension St. James Airport Authority got $300,000. So that was a pretty good, pretty good showing for Ascension Parish in just the supplemental bill. The second big piece of appropriation is that capital outlay, and that's the long-term capital plans that the legislature puts out. And it's signed by the governor as well. And we were able to get $107 million in Priority 1, which is the cash lines of credit. You want the cash from the general obligation bonds. Some of that was for huge projects like that $55 million for the Mississippi River deepening, $15 million for the Morganza to the Gulf. But there's also $25 million in DOTD projects that are scattered throughout the parish. So that was a big win. 3.1 for the Pontchartrain Levee District and 2.5 for Gonzales and Donaldsonville, different projects. So that was, again, great local projects that were able to be included. Now, in capital outlay, when there's surplus money, sometimes we're fortunate enough to get that, and that is money that's available immediately. It's general fund. And so there was $6 million for Highway 30 roundabout between St. Elizabeth's and Highway 44. So that money will be available to get moving right away. The Pontchartrain Levee District Weir Drainage Project, Donaldsonville, $300,000 for the La field renovations. We've already started having discussions with Donaldsonville because they were the ones that put in the application. Ricky's been working with them, and we're trying to start these discussions so we can try to get that moving. We know that's a priority. $200,000 for the River Road African American Museum restoration, and then $500,000 for the Ascension St. James Airport Authority. So capital outlay was a good showing as well. One thing that took a lot of time, a lot of meetings, was the talk about Highway 30 and Highway 1, because this is the talk of the bridge. During session, they still had the 10 routes, and so we weren't exactly sure, and the legislature wasn't sure. We now know it's down to those 3 routes. And one thing we knew during session, it was going to dump onto Highway 30 and Highway 1. So the administration met countless times with the governor, with Sean Wilson, trying to make sure that we were planning ahead, because no matter where you put the bridge, if you don't fix 30 interstate heading that direction, it's not going to work. So the speaker worked with us, and so when the Speaker Cortez created a mega project fund, which put 4 mega projects into this fund, we were included as part of that. So they created, one of the 4 funds was the Mississippi River Baton Rouge connector accounts. And so what happened was, towards the end of the session, is they put in there that money is to be used for Highway 30 and Highway 1 planning, construction, and procurement. So that was a big win to make sure that money, and they put $300,000 of surplus money from this year into that fund. So that money is there, and now what's going to happen between now and next session is we've got a plan on how that's going to happen. They didn't appropriate the money because obviously there's a lot of things that have to happen now that we're down to those three routes. But just getting that in there and making sure that money was earmarked for Highway 30 was a big win. We know the bridge project is a $2 billion project, but this is a great start, and hopefully next year there'll be even more money. There's some dedicated sources in that fund, so it's a good start for us moving forward. Just real quickly, a few other things that happened during session. There was House Bill 221 by Speaker Pro Tem McGee. It increases the purchasing limit, and that's a win for the parish, and we were actually kind of on the forefront of this, talking with the Police Jury Association, putting this thought out there, because we had that 30,000 limit, that anything 30,000 or above for procurement of goods and services, we have to bid out. Well, with inflation and everything else, and that hadn't been changed in a long time, we had that discussion, and that was increased to 60,000. So that gives us a lot of flexibility. We can be a little more nimble when we're trying to buy things, and we don't have to go through that bidding process for 30,000 to 60,000. They also had a range of 10 to 30,000 that you had to get quotes, not bids. They raised that to 30 to 60. So that was a big win for the parish. And then finally, Representative Bacala, who we worked with a lot, and he was gracious enough to put one of his bills in for us for House Bill 583, was allowing an increase in the administrative fee. And the parish can charge up to 4% for the entities that we do the administration for to cover those administrative costs. And with all of the increases in the munis modules, the increased cost of IT, the thought was, well, if we have the ability to go up to 5%, we can probably better prepare ourselves in the future looking at those costs moving forward. One thing that we made sure we excluded was the fire protection districts and the council on aging and the parish libraries. And this is not an automatic, this just allows us. So this is something that would be a discussion moving forward. I don't think there's any plans to go to 5% immediately. I think those are going to just have to be discussions. We're going to be getting with Brandon, talking about the budgets of every department, kind of where the needs are. And I'm sure when we go over the budget next year, you're going to hear some of these discussions. So that's it for the legislative update. Again, very happy with the outcomes. We've got a lot of work moving forward, but I think we're poised very well to move forward on these priorities.
Just a quick question, Patrick.
Yes, sir.
Go back to page 3, if you would.
Sure.
Yeah. I think you said 400 million instead of 40,000.
Oh, it's 40,000. I'm sorry.
400,000, I mean, instead of 40,000.
You know, I'm used to dealing in 30 billion.
Big
My
numbers,
fault.
yeah.
My fault.
Yeah, okay. And
they would be really happy if they got 400.
Yeah, Chairwoman Cazzo.
And if you'll go to the next slide, please.
Sure.
There was I think you, just for correction, it says that that was it. Go back to that one. Go back to that one, where you just were.
Page 3.
the next one. There it is.
5, yeah.
House Bill 406, Sarang deposited 300 million. I think you said 300,000, and I want to, is it 300 million?
It's 300 million. I'm sorry if I've said different. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
That's okay.
That's no problem. I just wanted to make sure, because 300,000 wasn't going to buy a lot of right-of-way.
It started at 500 million, and then it went away to 0.
Ooh.
And then the legislature negotiated back and forth, and so when they finished with 300 million, that was a relief, because if it had gone to 0, that would have been tough moving forward with the bridge. We know it's going to happen. And again, we know Highway 30 is instrumental in that, and Highway 1, and so now we know at least we've got some money dedicated to that purpose.
Absolutely. Thank you so
Councilman
much for the
Sure.
clarification.
Yeah, Patrick, I know a while back, we were talking about raising, they were thinking about increasing the public bid law to, what, 500,000?
Oh, for the work of Public Works?
Yeah, Public Works.
Yes, we had that discussion, but it didn't get any traction, and so I think that would be something we would love to see moving forward, and it is on our list, and that's a good point, because we've already started planning for next year, and we'll make sure we try to keep that on our list and work with the Police Jury Association to try to get, the parish support for that.
If I remember correctly, though, we had some projects that we were assuming that was going to increase. So we were working forward, we talked about that in one of the drainage meetings, that we're assuming it was going to increase, and that's why we were using some of the numbers that we were. So we may need to go back and look at some of those
Okay.
things.
Absolutely, we can definitely go back and look at those.
Okay, go ahead and continue. I'm sorry.
Now we've got
Michael Mason.
Oh.
Go ahead, Mike.
You were talking about the administrative fees increasing from 4% to 5%, and you said we weren't doing it for those 3 organizations. Which ones do we do it for?
So it'd be most of the parish departments get charged that fee.
Okay.
So it's drainage, it's
Okay.
mosquito control, it's the typical the parish departments that you would think of.
That's what Dal and I were talking about, and I want to make sure that's what it was. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Go ahead, continue with Brandon.
Yes, sir. Good evening, council. So tonight, we are very excited to finally announce the official Ascension Parish Citizens app. We've been working on this for the past year, and tonight we're gonna show you a little video here in a minute to kind of give you an overview about what it's all about. So previously, we had an app for citizens to use where they were able to report issues to our call center. But that's all that you could do with the app. And Parish President Quinn Mall and John Diaz both wanted more of a kind of a one-stop shop, if you will, as far as what services are provided to our citizens and how do I get in touch with the people I need to get in touch with about those services. So that's kind of the core of this app and the premise behind how we built it the way we did. So before I asked Jarius to hit play, I wanted to point out in the video, in our IT department, we happen to have somebody that has acting experience. So we asked them to be the face of this promotional video that we did. So Jarius, if you would.
We are so excited to introduce our brand new Ascension Parish Government app. I'm Jarius, Application Specialist, who will guide you on the brand new app available right now on the iOS and Android app stores. This app is your single place to find all of the government services provided to our citizens. Everything from finding out what's going on at Lamar-Dixon to who your elected officials are and how to contact them. The most popular feature of the app is the Report and Issue section. In this video, I will show you how to report an issue, such as having your ditch cleaned and what happens after reporting the issue. Currently, there are 2 types of issues to submit: mosquito spraying request and report an issue for all other requests. We will tap Report an Issue. A notice will pop up. Tap Continue. Enter the information requested on the screen. The app may ask you to use location services on your phone. Please allow this for accurate location information. Select public or private. Only select private if you don't want others to see the request on the public portal. Add as much detail as possible in the Add Notes section. At this point, you may take a picture or use an existing picture on your device. If you properly filled out the required information, you will now tap Submit. You will receive an email with your request number. This confirms your issue was successfully submitted. Citizen Service Center will receive and review your submitted issue. They may call you or add their own comments if more information is needed. Keep an eye on your request in your email for these questions or comments. Once your request has been verified by the Citizen Service Center, a work order will be created and assigned to the proper department. The work will be added to a schedule. The scheduling of work orders take into the account the priority, workload, weather, resource availability, and a number of other determining factors. In the app, you may tap on My Request at any time to review updates to your request and add additional comments if necessary. You may also call the Citizen Service Center at any time to check on a request. Their number is 225-450-1200. This app allows you to identify issues that need our attention. With your help, we can make Ascension the best it can be.
Very good.
Thank you.
Well, you look good. Yeah.
So I need to give a huge thanks to everybody that was involved in this. That includes my IT department, that includes Brian's data analytics group, our call center, and all the other departments that accept service requests, and the guys that actually go out in the field and do the work. I'd also like to thank two groups that we presented the beta version of this app to get their feedback, and that was the East Ascension Rotary and the Ascension Chamber of Commerce. They both provided good feedback for us to allow us to advance the app into what it is today. And then finally, a huge thanks to our new PIO, Brandon, and his video programming department, John, Marshall, and Demarius. They were able to produce and turn this video around in the last 24 hours. So
Fantastic.
Big thanks to them.
On behalf of myself and I'm sure the council, we thank you. I mean, the Citizens Call Center was a tremendous help a few years back, and I think people were just getting accustomed to it. But this is just another step
Yes, sir.
forward. There'll even be more opportunities to check into issues, okay?
Yes, sir.
Any other questions? Terry?
Yes, Brandon, I've had an idea several years now that I've wanted to get a video done about. Who do I see about that, please?
A video of...
Well, I think that when our tax statements go out every year, it is confusing. People don't understand what they're looking at, what all of this stuff means. And several years ago, I met with folks and tried to see if we couldn't do a video. Let's I don't care if they use my tax things, scratch my name out, but let's show people what it is and what it means and where the money actually goes when you pay your taxes.
Kind of a tutorial.
So a kind of a tutorial on your tax statement that the parish sends out. So I'd like to recommend that be done, and I'm happy to help with it in any way I can.
Sure, I'll discuss it with Brandon Gatlin. He would be our point person for that.
Thank you so much.
Fantastic. And Patrick? Any other questions? Chase?
So is it called the app?
The Ascension, yeah, you could call it the app if you wanted to.
The AP app?
During the development process, we tried to avoid that because it got irritating. But yeah,
I'm just letting you know that joke has Ricky Cobbin's fingerprints all over it.
No. Very good job. Thank you for those presentations. Anything else, Patrick? In the parish president's report. Let me go home and get the consent agenda.
Good job in terms of reporting on the West Bank. Again, we had a lot of comments and a lot of good things going on, and
good.
We very much appreciate all the things that's going on in the West Bank. And I noticed you didn't mention the Early Childhood Development Center that the parish, along with the sheriff and school board and the library, you want to make sure we appreciate them chiming in, and but a parish taking the lead in making this happen with the Early Childhood Center. You have a lot of folks, a lot of residents looking forward to having it, and we're very thankful for it. So thank the parish, thank everyone for participating.
Okay, thank you, Coach. Before I forget, Madam Secretary, Councilman Robert has it shown up. Item 7, consent agenda. Would the secretary please read the agenda?
Adoption of April 7th, 2022 regular council meeting minutes. Adoption of April 21st, 2022 regular council meeting minutes. Approval to enter into a time and materials task order driven contract with the only responsive RFP submitted by Delcon LLC to support the parish with plumbing maintenance and repairs to parish buildings and facilities. RFP PM 2112002, budget of $150,000. Approval of amendment number 3 to master contract with Meyer Engineers Limited for Dutchtown Library splash pad to extend contract term through July 3rd, 2023, extension of time only. Approval of amendment number 4 to retainer contract for professional services with Meyer Engineers Limited for the Lamar Dixon Expo Center gym expansion to extend contract term through September 28th, 2022. This amendment is for the extension of term and does not affect the contract price. Approval of entity state agreement between DOTD and the Ascension Parish government for the LA 42 roundabout at Joseverio Road, project H010795, to convert existing intersection to a roundabout at LA 42 and Joseverio Road, Prairieville, and resolution authorizing Parish President Clint Quintmall to execute this document on behalf of Ascension Parish. Approval of change order number 1, R.J. Daigle & Sons Contractors, Inc., for the Move Ascension Project US 61 and Germany Road intersection improvements MA 1805 to add 60 days for the procurement of precast drainage structures and to provide for assembly period and for the increased time to procure electrical equipment. Approval of cooperative endeavor agreement by and between Ascension Parish government and Sheriff Bobby Weber, whereby Sheriff Weber will take over the administration of the day-to-day maintenance, expense, and upkeep of the Ascension Parish Jail, with each party's responsibility outlined in the CEA attached. Approval of change order number 3 for the Manchac Acres at Muddy Creek Bridge Replacement Project, increase of 63 days and $34,075.75 due to the delay of box culvert delivery and weather days.
Thank you, Madam Secretary. Does anyone wish to remove an item from the consent agenda for further discussion? Councilwoman Robert.
Item I.
Aye. The last one?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Let's move that to general business, call it 8C. Madam Secretary.
Motion on the agenda, to approve the consent agenda.
Motion to approve the consent agenda as amended, second by Terry. Any objections? There being none, that motion carries. Item 8, general business. Approval to enter into contract with the lowest responsive quote submitted by Delcon LLC in the amount of $60,925 for renovation of the existing administration office area with addition of 5 storefront walls, adding 3 new office areas. Dean, if you would.
Yes, sir. What this project brought by administration is basically when you enter into the admin area where the president is, those cubicles they currently have is just putting some storefronts where they have some privacy and they get rid of all the area noise on their day-to-day work details.
How many, I just have a question, how many offices is it?
It's 5 storefront windows.
Okay, 5 storefront, okay.
3 offices.
Yeah, it's gonna be 3 offices, I'm sorry.
Councilman Lawler?
Yeah, I'd just objected to this before. You know, construction costs are extremely high right now, probably the highest they've been in years. And this is not something that's technically necessary. We heard at the drainage meeting about being fiscally conservative at this time and conserving our money, and to do something that this is more just a luxury type of item. I don't think it's necessary to do right now. $60,000 is a lot of money that we can use in a lot of other departments. I've said it before, we have a lack of people in our code enforcement department where we simply cannot enforce the codes that we have on the books. We heard during drainage that we have planned overtime, which is generally in business not a good thing. Mr. Robert and I, Councilman Robert and I had talked about that. There are lots of money-saving opportunities here. I think this is one. It should probably be delayed until we can find a better time to do this. It's not a good time to spend this money, and we have a lot of other needs right now in the parish. And to say that we're just going to add some office space worth $60,000 when we've been buying new furniture and this and that, I don't think this is a very fiscally smart thing to do at this time. Moreover, when I asked the reasoning behind it, our new our second consecutive interim utilities director, Mr. Diaz, told me that it is necessary with no explanation. So at this point, we haven't had any explanation of why this is something that we should be spending the money on right now when we have lots of other needs in the parish. So I object.
I got a motion to approve the 60,000 as written. Motion by him.
And second by Michael.
Second by Michael. Okay, is there any objection?
Yes.
Councilman Lawler, did you want
Oh, no, just
substitute motion? Okay. All right, we have an objection. Roll call vote, Madam Secretary. Everybody vote.
Ms. Castle, can you place your vote for us? Thank you.
Here we have 2 nays, the rest yeas, so the motion carries. Item B, discussion of research on adding solar panels to governmental buildings and potential funding resources. Councilman Lawler.
Yeah, this was something that, I've discussed with Patrick about. I've discussed with Bill Dawson, our former utilities director. I've discussed it with several people, and really this comes from some articles I've read, some articles I've listened to, talking about large box stores all around the nation that have been using their roof space to put on solar panels to reduce their energy costs. I don't know if this is even feasible for the parish, but I do know that we have a lot of large buildings that have a lot of roof space that we could potentially lower our electricity costs. And what I'm hoping to do is just start on this discussion, because it's my understanding from what I've read that the Biden administration is going to come out with a lot of funding sources, possibly grants and other, incentives to go solar. Which is something, if we can take advantage of that and reduce our hard costs, which is paying for electricity is a hard cost that the parish has, it could really allow us to put more money into other things, like even more rooms in the administration building. But in all seriousness,
weather station.
A weather station. In all seriousness, it's an opportunity for us to save some really hard dollars that we have to spend every year. So what I'd like to do is, I'm going to turn it over to Patrick so he can tell us a little bit about our electricity costs. But hopefully we can get our utility side of things to help us look into this and see if it's something that's even feasible. I don't know if it is, but let's just start talking about it. So Patrick, if you would.
Sure, absolutely. Since you kind of started that conversation, we have done some work in finance where we have pulled all of the building utility cost for the past 12 months and got a 12-month average. So we're in the final stages of just reviewing that, trying to get it in a good format, making sure we have all the buildings. And that way we can send it to you, so we can that could be a good starting point to have this conversation, just a starting point of what are we even paying today for these buildings. I think then, as you said, there's a lot of questions, I think, from our part and, from the state perspective, working for them, there was questions about the cost effectiveness without grants, without some type of, subsidy. And so I think that would have to be a large part of the conversation of, at what point does it actually save you money? I know the feds were giving, some incentives the state used to, and so I think that with this information, we can start that discussion, start having those conversations, try to find some, obviously we'll need some experts to talk to that know more about this than we do, because it can be complicated conversations, because you even have to get into individual metering of buildings so you can see if there's been savings. So, obviously a lot of factors, but we're willing to start that conversation to see if we can save money.
And also, I think there's opportunities from articles I've read. There are some public-private partnerships that are being done where the equipment's being brought in by private sector and they manage it, so to speak, so,
The
okay.
state even has a program. The state has a program, an energy efficiency program, which is kind of along those lines. So there's some opportunities out there potentially.
Okay. Councilman Robert.
Yeah, I think that's a great idea. The solar panels, obviously, would have a lot to do with depending on any programs and also what the utility companies will do in each sector. I know different parts of the country, utility companies are actually even forced to buy back the power. In Louisiana, it's not to that extent because I had done some research on it a while back. The last I had seen, you can credit your bill for that particular building for the power that you generate during the daytime, and basically they're buying it to power the rest of the city. I think it would be a great deal if we could somehow figure out how to have all of our buildings combined to where we could, with the energy. So if we have one building that's suited best for it, and it covers more than the cost of that particular building, maybe we could spread it across the parish. And secondly, I think the aesthetics of it is very important. I think you can really ruin some architecture and really ruin a beautiful building with solar panels done the incorrect way. I think that needs to be considered, even to the extent of having an architect looking at it possibly. And they have some different technologies now. I know a few years ago they started having peel and stick actual solar panels. They had some troubles with it. I don't know if it actually caught on or not, but that would be really simple. It wouldn't be bulky and it wouldn't be seen over any distance. And also they have a technology out there, and I don't know how available it is right now, that creates solar panel windows to where it's actually a window. Looks just like a window, but it creates the electricity from the solar.
Yeah, and that, a good point, along the lines of what you're saying, the technology is changing so rapidly. What wasn't feasible last year may be more feasible this year. A year ago or a year or two or so ago, I was able to tour one of the Tesla gigafactories, and they have solar panels that look like shingles now.
Yeah.
And, you know, they weren't perfect, but they're getting better.
And if you go to some of the airports, like your Denver airport and some of your different cities out west, around the airport, like the actual airfields, they have acres upon acres upon acres of just solar panels out the ground and a panel facing up. I don't know how realistic that could be with us. I know we have a lot of area, but do we have buildings next to them?
Okay, Councilwoman Kazu.
I think this is very timely because I've been out of the country, so I've monitored my email some, but other times I would miss it. I do think we saw just this week a notification from Entergy, correct me if I'm wrong, Senator, that we have the expectation that our energy costs are going to rise as a parish government. So I thank Aaron for bringing this up, and everybody. I think it would be a great idea to support it in light of that, as well as just because it's the right thing to do.
Good. Councilman Mason.
Yeah, I was actually interested in us maybe doing I don't know if SSA or somebody can do that, like a CBA, just to see if we can go out there and do some research, have somebody do that research for us and present us, a CBA on, are there funding options? What are the funding options? If so, how much are we going to save every month if we don't have to pay for it versus if we do have to pay for it? I think it's a great idea. I'd love to see that.
Yeah. So we might even be able to explore funds from the stimulus packages.
Absolutely.
Various
Absolutely.
stimulus packages. Okay, Councilman Wagasback.
Ricky, I might make you come to the podium. Do we currently have solar panels on one of the buildings at Lamar?
Lamar and Dixon.
Okay. Is that something where we could, is that successful? Could we use that as a comparison? Sorry for making you
That
get
was
up.
complicated because we didn't do those solar panels ourselves. Those were done as a remediation project because the plant had to pay off a fine. And the metering at Lamar Dixon is complicated because each building doesn't have its own meter. And so it's not a great example.
So it's hard to capture the
Correct.
data.
It's
Okay.
hard to capture.
I have no comment.
Yeah, Councilman Wagasback actually asked that question too, and as Ricky said, the bills are all combined, and at the same time, Lamar Dixon has been expanding. So, the two things you would want to separate out to see if, the bill has been staying the same or going down, kind of got washed when those two things were happening at the same time.
So they could possibly not be working at all?
Yeah.
We don't know. Okay.
hit or miss.
All right.
Councilman
Thank you.
Lawler.
Yeah, I was going to follow up on what Councilman Mason said. From the research that I've done, a lot of the companies that can help us with this are actually the ones that put the panels on, because they go after the grants for you. Later on, I don't want to give out the names on this, because they're companies and everything, but that's who we need to talk to, the companies that actually do the solar panels. They can help do the analysis, if they have an interest in doing all that for us, and many times they do it gratis.
Yeah, and when I was with the Legislative Auditor's Office, we had to actually review the work of energy efficiency contractors to make sure the savings they said were real. And there are vendors out there that specialize in these type of formulas because they're complicated.
Yeah.
And at first, when they asked the auditor staff, we said, we are auditors, we are not, these type of detailed engineers. And so there are people out there that could help.
And it's difficult to do a CBA, cost-benefit analysis. It's a lot of information.
Yeah, we can definitely start exploring all those opportunities, especially with the federal money coming down and different things. So explore from the grants opportunity and also from the feasibility, because I know whether it's feasible or not is very complicated. And there's so many factors involved.
Okay, at this point, Patrick, I'm going to ask you to kind of take the lead, and Aaron, support him if you will, and work with him.
Absolutely.
And
I'd be happy to.
If you need help from any of us council members, I'm sure we'd be willing to help. That it? All right, item C.
So we have to.
I'm sorry,
Do we have
Councilman Robert?
It's kind of the same topic, but a little bit off. And I believe most of our lights probably are all LED, but there's a huge cost savings changing even from your T8 and your T12 fluorescent ballast to LED ballast in the strips, to the extent of thousands upon thousands of dollars in just one building. I know with the storage, when we switched all of the lights, the old Albertsons, to LED, it brought the electricity bill down $2,000 per month. Just lights.
What we doing that?
So we currently don't have a plan in place converting our facilities to LED, but I can tell you, when the building was built next door, they value engineered out the LED lights because they were cost prohibitive at that point. But what we have found is that the fixtures they installed are faulty, and the lenses have been falling out for 4 years. So we got a PO, came across the desk that was for $1,000 to buy more lenses, and I put a stop and I said, what are we doing? And they said, well, the lenses that snap into our fixtures, they heat up, and when they heat up, they swell and they fall out. And I'm like, well, how many people have we hit? And we hadn't hit anybody yet. And so we basically took maintenance through the building and we removed every lens that was loose. And we got an engineer to come in, and we got on the phone with the distributor of those fixtures, and they didn't claim fault. But we were enabled to purchase all new fixtures for the building next door at cost. So we're going to replace every single 2x4 light in that building over the next year at cost, which is about $50 a fixture, which is super cheap compared to what we were going to spend in 2016 to put LEDs in that building. So we were spending $1,000 a year replacing lenses, which is just dumb, and we've done that for 4 years. So I can tell you, when I was at Breck, I did a utility analysis at every one of our facilities, and when we converted the tennis courts at Highland Road to LEDs, we saw a dramatic drop in price of electricity. And yes, we have a lot of projects on deck, and converting our parks and our facilities to LEDs will be in that hopper, but it's not cheap. But you do see a cost savings over time. Can we figure out a way to look for some grants to do some solar? Sure, but LEDs, I'm telling you, are a cost savings instantly. It's an instant savings. So we are looking at it, and it is something on our radar.
Thank you, Rick.
Yes, sir.
Councilman Robert?
I was just going to say, before we replace all those fixtures with the lenses that are still in there, if they're really falling out because of the heat of the bulb, you could easily retrofit every one of those fixtures just with an LED bulb, which will produce probably 90% less heat, and you won't have the problem of your lenses falling out.
We
And
looked
you
into
can
that,
get
but the
those-
cost of LED bulbs, when you replace 4 of them in a fixture,
Well, you don't have to, because like in the 2 by 4 foot lights, and I can bring you to Nice to show you, they had 4 bulbs in them originally. They were T8 bulbs. And all of the ones with 4 bulbs, I only replaced with 2 bulbs. And the 2 bulbs that I replaced the 4 with are brighter than those 4 bulbs were. And you can even eliminate buying a ballast. You can just have someone hardwire every one of those to 110 and buy the correct bulbs, and they have them to fit those fixtures.
Right.
They're like $20 a piece, one time, and they have a 5-year warranty. So that way you keep all your fixtures, and you're not spending $50 for each one and then having to put LED in it.
Okay, folks, I don't want to interrupt, but we've gotten off the subject.
Yeah,
We're
we're good.
talking about solar panels, and now we're talking about lighting. So let's keep that open for discussion and move right along to item C. Approval of change order number 3 for the Manchac Acres at Muddy Creek Bridge Replacement Project. Increase of 63 days and $34,075.75 due to delay of box culvert delivery and weather days. Joey. This was from the Finance Committee.
I was wondering why there was a change in the price when we are only waiting on delays from weather and we're waiting on merchandise.
This was for, the money amount was for the pumps that they had to use, and they have to use throughout the project in order to keep the area dry. Whenever they tore the bridge out, they poured a bottom, a concrete bottom, to put the box culverts on, and they were ready to have the boxes installed. We thought the boxes were going to be ready a month prior to the time we actually got them. So they were constantly having to pump out the work area to get it prepared to receive the boxes. And then the boxes got delayed again and again, and it ended up being an entire month. So the money amount is for them to make the attempt to clean up the area, to pump it out, clean it, and have it ready for those box culverts.
Okay, that's all. I just had a question on.
Okay. Need a motion? Motion by
Second.
Michael, second by Aaron. Any objection? There being none, the motion carries. Item 9, introduction of ordinances. Chair only needs a motion to introduce, no second. Introduction of an ordinance to declare surplus and authorize the sale and/or transfer of miscellaneous movable equipment. Motion by Michael to introduce. Item 10, public hearings and ordinances. Legal counsel, reading of an ordinance. Kenneth?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Budget amendment number 4, an ordinance to amend the ordinance approving, adopting, and appropriating the 2022 operating capital budgets for the parish of Ascension adopted by the Ascension Parish Council on the 18th day of November 2021. Section 1, the Ascension Parish Council hereby ordains that the ordinance approving, adopting, and appropriating the 2022 operating capital budgets for the parish of Ascension is hereby amended, approved, and appropriated as follows. Operating budget, Parish Utilities of Ascension, match for the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers meter replacement project. Revenues and other financing sources, transfers in, water, wastewater construction fund, $1,050,000. Expenditures and other financing uses, appropriations and grants capital, $1,050,000. Capital budget, water, wastewater construction fund, match for the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers meter replacement project. Expenditures and other financing uses, transfers out, Parish Utilities of Ascension, $1,050,000. This ordinance having been submitted to a vote, the vote thereon was as follows.
Motion by Councilman Robert to open a public hearing. Second by Councilwoman Cazo.
Motion to close the public hearing.
Motion to close the public hearing by Aaron, seconded by Terry.
Motion to pass the ordinance.
Motion to move the ordinance by Councilman Lawler.
Second.
Second by Councilwoman Cazo. Any objection? There being none, that motion carries. Item D, reading of an ordinance. Kenneth, please.
Yes, ordinance number ZM 22-03, zoning change ID PZ 2848.22, changing the official zoning designation for all lot 2 tall timber subdivision to rezone from medium intensity residential to mixed use 2, provides for severability and effective date. Purpose of this ordinance amends the official zoning designation for lot 2 tall timber subdivision property per attached legal description from medium intensity residential to mixed use. This rezone is identified as zoning review ID PZ 2848.22, whereas Ascension Parish is a local governmental subdivision as defined by Article 6. Section 44 of the Louisiana Constitution of 1974, and whereas the Parish of Ascension is the governing and responsible body over the zoning and regulations with this jurisdiction, and whereas Article 6 of the Home Rule Charter of Ascension Parish adopted May 4, 1993 identifies the process and manner in which to adopt ordinances regulating the lands of this parish, and whereas the official zoning map for Ascension Parish was last adopted on March 8, 2016, and whereas the Parish Council reserves the authority to make changes to the official zoning map by ordinance, and whereas this request has been processed in compliance with the procedures set forth, be it ordained by the Ascension Parish Governing Authority that the official zoning map of Ascension Parish, Louisiana, is amended to reflect the property identified in Exhibit A as mixed use 2 as the official zoning designation, severability in the event that any portion of this ordinance is ever held invalid or unconstitutional for any reason by any court of competent jurisdiction over it. Such portion shall be deemed a separate, distinct, and independent provision and shall not affect the validity of the remaining portion of this ordinance. Effective date, this ordinance shall be in full effect as permitted by law. Exhibits A, legal description; B, plot map; C, aerial zoning. Adoption. This ordinance having been submitted to a vote, the vote thereon was as follows.
Motion to open public hearing by Councilman Robert, second by Councilwoman Cazzo. Motion to close the public hearing by Councilman Mason, second by Councilman Robert. Motion to move the ordinance by Councilman Melanson, second by Councilman Lambert. Any objection? Councilman Lambert. Any objection? What was that? Motion carries.
Motion to enter executive session.
Need roll call vote, Madam Secretary? Executive session?
Have y'all, you said what the process is? And everybody-
Councilman Lawler, can you place a vote for us, please?
Did it work?
Okay, the chair will entertain a motion to reconvene. Motion by Michael to reconvene. Second by Coach. All right. Any objection? There being none, we're back in regular. Councilman Lawler.
I'll make a motion that we overturn the administration's ruling.
Have a motion to overturn the administration's ruling. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Councilman Dempsey. Open the voting, please. Okay, Madam Secretary. I have 5 yeas and 5 nays, so the motion fails.
Motion adjourned.
Motion to adjourn by Councilman Melanson, second by Councilman Lambert. We are adjourned.